Hello friends, today we'll discuss about the biggest mistakes of all leading camera makers: Canon, Nikon, Sony, Panasonic, Pentax, all these brands, and what wrong they have done in their camera systems. Let me start first with Nikon. Nikon has done significantly well in last 5 6 years, but I would refer to 1987, 87 or 8, that time when Nikon didn't change its mounting system, and the advantage today we have is uh, we can use any old Nikon lens with any new Nikon camera. But the disadvantage it got was Nikon body cannot adapt any lens with aperture lesser than 1.4. Means you cannot use Nikon body with f1.2 lenses or less. Whereas Canon can do it. I do not have much idea about Sony or Panasonic or Pentax. But if we talk about Nikon's biggest competitor, Canon has f1.2 lenses, whereas Nikon doesn't have. I would count that is biggest mistake of Nikon, taking the opportunity of using old lenses with new bodies, but losing the opportunity of using f1.2 or less lenses. And second mistake would be its upgradation not up to the mark as of Canon. Nikon hasn't focused much on live refocusing system, phase detection focusing system. So they have to speed up, and now we're entering into 2017, and autofocus is a big driving factor in all camera making technologies. So that has been a reason for mirrorless and MFT systems. So in autofocus part, Nikon is lagging behind. Coming back to Canon, Canon when started with its APS-C series, I think Canon 10D, I believe. So they started with a sensor with a crop factor of 1.6, and if you compare the APS-C sensors of Canon with other uh, camera manufacturers, then you will find all other camera manufacturers have 1.5x crop factor, means the sensor is bit bigger. If you calculate, then it is close to 9%. And if sensor is smaller, then the image quality is bit inferior. The ISO performance and the illumination, because of less lights, these are affected, and bigger the crop factor, lesser the image quality, because crop factor gets multiplied with aperture and many other factors. Yes, the telephoto zoom may be a bit more, but there is nothing to do much with telephotos, as crop factor can be multiplied with any sensor. A full frame sensor, if you shoot in crop mode, then you get APS-C result. So that is the biggest mistake. Another big mistake, I think, if we consider all the series, I would say the Canon PowerSet series. Canon is yet to produce Canon SX70, despite 2 3 years of wait, and that makes Nikon champion in mega zoom cameras, and Canon should have not been silent at that segment. Canon started mega zoom cameras with, if I remember, SX30 with 30x, then 40, then 50, then 60, and 70 is badly delayed. But it's just a matter of the moment. So Canon may release. So not to highlight this. But yes, because of silence of Canon and Sony, I will come back to the same issues related to Sony and magazine cameras. Because of those two things, Nikon P900 became number one magazine camera and has on the Jumwa. Next, coming to Sony, Sony is prioritizing mirrorless cameras, and it used to have a mount system, SLT system, and probably Sony may not be focusing on that, or it may be discontinued. And mirrorless is just growing a young child. So if we talk technically mirrorless against DSLR or DSLTs, then DSLRs are still favorites of all the photographers, because mirrorless performance wise is yet to give strong challenge to DSLR or DSLTs. So that is one point, and the autofocus mechanism of Sony is not as good as Canon. So that is one thing. And if we talk about Pentax has amazing cameras, and at a good price, they really give very good cameras. And recently, Pentax developed Pentax K1, the full frame series. But the problem is, if you do not have full frame lenses, then there is no point with by creating full frame cameras. Canon has 266 Canon lenses for its cameras, and Pentax doesn't have it. Pentax has all the lenses for APS-C. So before proceeding for full frame cameras, Pentax should have started or parallelly full frame lenses. So now Pentax has to rush for several, at least 2-3 years to have enough collection of Pentax full frame lenses. Well, I am not sure whether APS-C image quality can beat full frame image quality, because the sensor is almost 2.25 times bigger. So now Pentax has to depend on third-party full frame lenses, and that doesn't say much good about Pentax. Next, if we consider Panasonic, I haven't done much research about it, but yes, the same issue with Panasonic and Olympus MFT systems, micro four third systems. The mechanism of autofocus. Faster the autofocus, it's not always about image quality, it's much more about autofocus also. A good image needs good autofocus. If you are not able to capture the moment as quick as possible, then you are losing the moment, you are losing a great photograph. So MFT has to be really good enough to produce really good photographs. So these are all my thoughts. Again, coming back to Sony, if we consider about Canon and Nikon, then the next competitor is Sony, and Sony has done significantly well in last 2-3 years, And one disappointment is again when there was zoom war. There were three major brands with their leading magazine cameras: SX 50-60 series by Canon, then Nikon P900 is the flagship in case of Nikon, and Sony had a camera, Sony HX400V, which released in 2011 and it is later 2016 now. And last 5 years, Sony, what is Sony doing? They haven't prioritized this zoom war, but they could have done that. So these are my views on all the leading camera makers. Please share your views. Please comment here if you like the content, and if you like this channel, please subscribe. Thank you.